Hello everybody, welcome back. This session we will talk about API debugging and fuzzing. In this session we will learn about tools we can use to debug the API and manipulate it, and try to understand before we go further and find vulnerabilities and exploits. The most obvious way to debug API is put proxy to intercept the traffic between the client and back-end server API. So if you listen to the traffic back and forth, trying to understand and trying to debug it or change data between client and API, the most popular tool to use it is Burp Suite, which has a free version and also professional version paid. And there is also two free tools, a tool called Fiddler and a tool from AWASP called the Proxy. All three tools is good to go, but in this course we will use Burp Suite. But you feel free to use Fiddler or AWASP, the Proxy. It's all good. Okay, now let's have a look on Burp Suite in action. This is a simple channel in Slack I'm using for testing, and I'm using Firefox with a plugin called Foxy Proxy. It make it easy for me to switch between multiple proxies. Here you'll find Burp Suite I added previously. In proxy detail manual proxy configuration, here we will add the IP address for our local machine and port 8018. This is the port the Burp is using. So if we check here, use proxy Burp Suite for all URL, select it. Now Burp is listening to the traffic from and to the browser, and here this is in the button called intercept is on. Intercept is on means Burp will intercept all traffic between the browser and any outside connection. So let's test it. If we click on Slackbot, here Burp intercepted the traffic, the request, and show it to me. This is the raw request. We will find this is a request to https api-workspace.slack.com. This is our test channel, and this is a post request on url/api/conversations.history. And this is headers sent with the request, and this is the body of request. If we switch it to parameters tab, here we'll find all the parameters sent with the request, and this is the type of parameters. If we see, we can change the type of parameter, change it, for example, from beam body and beaming query URL. And here is the name of the parameter and value of parameter. You can change anything actually before forward the request. And in headers tab, you will find all headers that sent with the request. You can change it as well. Okay, so let's forward the request here, and here's some other requests to tracking. In HTTP history, we will find the URL that being sent to the API for Slack. If we click on any URL of them, we will find that there is three tabs. Original request. This is the original request made by browsers to the API. row or position parameters and headers for the request. And this is edited request. If we edit the request, here will be our edited request. And the response tab, this is the response from the backend server. Here we'll find the server returned 200 OK, and this is the headers for from the response. And also this is the response body JSON format. Okay, let's see what happen if we change it something we are not supposed to. Okay, let's change it again. Here verb intercepted the traffic. Okay, let's in this time let's choose something to change. Okay, let's play with token and edit the request, and let's forward it. Okay, this is our edited request. Here we will find this is the original request parameters, this is the original token, and this is our edited request. Clicking parameters, this is our changed token, and here is the response. Slack responded with 200 OK, but in this time he responded with an error in the body called invalid was. Slack validated the token and saw that it was changed, so he returned to us invalid authentication. I think this is give you a clear example of basic use for verb suite and how we can intercept the traffic and we can change the data, trying to debug and trying to see what will happen if we change something or we send something we are not supposed to the API backend server, and what will the backend server will respond. Okay. And there is API testing tools. This is some tools used to testing API and make it easy to request to send request to any API. Again, there is Postman, which is Chrome extension, and there is Insomnia, which is a desktop application. You are free to use any of them, but we will use Postman in this course. So let's see some examples. Here is the UI for Postman. Here you can find that you can initiate a request to any URL. If you choose, you can choose the method you want to use, and here we type the URL, and you can specify the authorization if you want, OAuth or basic OAuth, digest OAuth, OAuth 1 or 2, and hook authentication, AWS signature. You can specify some headers to send with the request, and with post request you can add the body to the request, its form data, or you can add raw data to the body if you wanted to send the JSON payload. Okay, so let's try some URL. Okay, let's try hackapi.hackerone.com. If we hit send, preview is nothing, but if we switch it to raw, you will find HTML that returned from api.hackerone. It's clearly some HackerOne API documentation. Okay, what will happen if we change it get to posts and hit send? Okay, this is something interesting. we got a response 405 not allowed method, and it comes from Nginx, the web server itself. The web server tells us that this URL is supposed to go with get method, not post method. Post method is not allowed. And here we can find the history of our requests to this API server. So it's really a good tool to use it when you try to initiate a request to API and try to debug the result. Okay, now let's have a small talk about fuzzing. Fuzzing, in a nutshell, it's a find implementation bug using malformed and semi-malformed data injection in an automated fashion. What's it mean? It means that in fuzzing or automatic testing in general, you use tools to send data to the backend server or anything you want to test with multiple data, malformed data, semi-malformed data, huge data, any unexpected data to see what's happened and what server will react to this data to find an exception or unexpected behavior for the application. Then you can point to this URL and this type of data and debug it further. About the tools used in fuzzing, there is a lot of tools actually, but most of them is premium or paid. So there is a purposed professional version, and there is the Acquaintance premium version, and Beach Fuzzer. All of them is premium tools, but there is some free tools. You can search it on GitHub. But actually what separate good fuzzer from another fuzzer is the dictionary or the word list or the character list he using to fuzz or generate the data to fuzz API. So just for example, to understand how fuzzing works, let's run some example. Okay, this is a PHP script I wrote for sake of testing. I run it at localhost in port 9090, and here I'm using some simple tool built with Node.js called fuzzget, and here we will type fuzzget http/localhost and the port and hit enter. The fuzzer, as you see, try to send multiple requests with characters to the server and see what HTTP status we return, if it's status 200 or status 404 or 500. And here is the response from the server. Okay, let's try another URL to see what will happen. If we click search, and this is the query, and hit enter, if you find as much as you specify to the fuzzers the exact URL you want to be fuzzing, the most of the fuzzer will try to generate much data. And you can use grep to only find the requests that responded with, for example, HTTP 500. And here is the URL, so you can search for it further. Okay, I think this is give you a clear example of how fuzzing works. So my advice to you is to get your hands on these tools. Try to be more comfortable with. We will use these tools along with the course. So see you next time. Thank you.